Good evening. America and her allies were pushed a step closer to war today when a Chinese submarine patrolling the Pacific approaches off Hawaii launched an attack on an American submarine. The attack was repulsed and the Chinese craft was destroyed. Correspondent Sally Jarvis on board the Independence. Sally?
Jim, we just heard that the American sub the Chinese attacked was the newly commissioned Cheyenne, a Los Angeles-class nuclear submarine, the latest and the best in this Navy's inventory. Fortunately, American naval technology is way ahead of the Chinese, and the American submarine was able to destroy the attacking vessel. All hands on the Chinese sub are reported lost. Analysts on board the Independence say the attack signals a more aggressive deployment of Chinese naval forces in the area, and they say further attacks can be expected. Jim?
Thank you, Sally. Joining us now is Dr. Adrian Mann, an expert in Chinese affairs at the Eisenhower Institute at Leland University. Dr. Mann, does this mean that war is imminent?
Well, that's absolutely how I see it, Jim. Matter of days at most. The Chinese military, I should add, holds significant tactical advantages over American forces in the region. Shorter lines of resupply and communication, for example. And there are an awful lot of them.
I got to interrupt you there, Dr. Mann. David Kendall in Beijing is on the satellite live. David, what's happening there?
Jim, this morning I was meeting with a high-level contact close to the government when Chinese security police arrested him as we were speaking. This is just the latest in what seems to be a deteriorating political and security situation here. My contacts have gone undercover and there is a heightened military presence on the streets, which are now mostly deserted. Jim.
Dr. Mann, what do you make of that?
Well, it's tough to figure out what China is up to in normal times, but what Dave just described may indicate there's a power struggle going on in the upper levels of the Chinese government.
On the military front, any chance this could escalate to nuclear level?
It is, of course, possible, especially if there's no clear chain of command in the Chinese power structure right now. And if we just cannot be sure who's in charge.
Thank you, Dr. Mann. Moments ago, the United Nations General Assembly approved a broad range of economic sanctions against China. Nothing is to get into or out of China except medical supplies. And the president has just issued a written statement that says the UN sanctions will be enforced with all the resources of the United States Navy. In other words, a blockade. This clearly puts a lot more pressure on U.S. naval forces and all the American servicemen and women in that region. We'll have more on all of this in a moment.